Hello everyone. So welcome to the operating system concepts lecture series. So in this lecture, I'm going to introduce with the topic. So let's begin. The very first thing is when somebody introduces a new concept to you, the first question that comes into mind is what is that particular thing. Okay, so here also, what exactly is operating system? So to tell you what exactly is operating system, the best thing is to tell you the definition of that particular thing. So operating system definition is: an operating system is a program that provides convenient interface to user and manages computer hardware efficiently. Okay, so operating system is what? It is like a program, but it is not a single program, a collection of programs which collectively do a task. So it is a form of a program that provides convenient interface to user. So user wants to interact with the machine. So operating system provides a convenient interface to users. So through operating system, user can easily interact with the machine, and operating system manages computer hardware efficiently. So whatever hardware is there in the machine, operating system manages it well. So you can see in the diagram also, uh, there are n users of a machine. So I am a user, and if my machine is serving to some program or some other external device, then that is also a user of this particular machine. So let's say there are n different users. So n different users, they will not be directly interacting with the hardware. They will be interacting with what? With the software. So whenever I want to use this machine, I will be running a system software and an application software, or an application software to do a specific task. And system software and application software, they will interact with the operating system to do a specific type of task. And it is the duty of the operating system to interact with the hardware device, that is your central processing unit, that is your processors, your storage devices, that is uh, random access memory, and your input output devices such as your mouse, keyboard, printer, and so on. Okay, so this is the way in which operating system uh, facilitates the user, and it provides us, it interacts with the with the hardware devices and give the services to the users who are willing to take the services from the hardware device. So the definition goes like that. Next is computer system is actually divided into four components. There are four basic components in the computer system, and those components are hardware, which provides basic computing resources. Okay, so the example of hardwares are CPU, memory, input output devices. The second component of computer system is the operating system. And operating system, what it does, it controls and coordinates the use of hardware among applications and users. So what it does, it controls and coordinates the use of hardware among various applications and users. So it makes the hardware available to different users of the uh, of those who are using going to use the hardware of this machine. Okay, then the third component is the application programs. And application programs are what? These, they are defined the ways in which the system resources are used to solve the computing problems of the users. For example, word processor, compiler, web browser, database systems, video games. Okay, so these are the examples of application programs. So if I have to write something, I need a word processor. If I have to make some instructions for the machine, then I need a compiler. If I want to interact with a person which is far away through internet, I need web browsers. If I have to save a huge data and in a managed way, then I need database systems. And if I want to entertain myself, I need video games. So these are the examples of the application programs, and these are also a component of computer system. And the fourth component of the computer system is as the users. And users could be people, because we are using. There could be machines also. So if a server is there, server doesn't need a user. The use of server is made by the different machines, and the machines directly interact with the server. So the machine who is interacting with the server is a user for that particular machine. So machines are also a type of a user and other computers. So if I am a server and a client is attached with my system, so I am providing service to a specific client, so that particular client is a user for my machine. Okay, so users are people, machine and other computers. So these are the four components of computer system: hardware, operating system, application programs and users. Okay, so if I have to give a analogy, means that a similarity between two different type of things. For example, we say that this person runs like a horse. So there is a analogy between two different things. So if I have to give a analogy between operating system, so it could be mapped with the brain. Okay, why? Because as brain does task for a human body, operating system does task for the machine. Okay, so what our brain does for us, our brain decides what to think, what to remember, what to listen and what to speak. Okay, so what are the tasks of the brain? The brain decides that what we are supposed to think and what we are going to remember. We have a memory. Okay, and what to listen. So we what things that we have to listen, that is decided by the brain, and what to speak, that is being decided by the brain itself. Okay, and in the same way, operating system, it, for the computer, it decides what to process, means what to think. Both the things are similar. The second is what to store. So as brain remembers something, operating system stores the content. Okay, the third similarity is what to listen is for brain, then how to get the input, this is being thought by the, this is being decided by the operating system. And the last thing is what to speak. So speaking is the output of a human brain. So what to display is the output of a operating system. So we can say that operating system is a brain of the machine. Okay, and in this way the both the things are similar. So coming to the history of the operating systems. Okay, so we are today using Android systems, and we have different powerful operating system services available with us. But initially, when the machines were of different shapes and structures, operating systems were also different. Okay, those operating systems have not evolved uh, in a very small time. There are generations by which the operating systems has evolved. So if I talk about the first generation, then operating system was a bare machine type of operating system, and the objective of operating system was just to do a program execution, and hardware was vacuum tube, so the size of the machine was very much was very large. Okay, then in the second generation, batch processing comes. So first generation was around 1945 to 55, and then in another 10-year gap there was batch processing, and in the batch processing we have improved the CPU utilization. The hardware has also changed and we were using transistors. Okay, then in the third generation, the operating system comes with the concept of multi-programming and time sharing. Okay, so the objective of this multi-programming and time sharing was resource utilization and interaction. Okay, and we have started using integrated circuits, IC. Now in the fourth generation, we have network, distributed and real-time operating systems. Okay, and now the goal is resource sharing and communication. And now we have large scale integration and very large scale integrations. Okay, so if we have to define what is batch processing, so in batch OS, major concern is to improve the CPU utilization by making ensure that processor is given some task at all time, and each set of jobs are considered as a batch. So batch processing, what we are combining the task and we are giving to the machine, and our sole motto was to make CPU utilization should be enhanced, CPU utilization should be there. In multi-programming system, when one program is waiting for IO transfer, there is another program ready to utilize the CPU, so it is possible to load several jobs in the memory for concurrent execution. So in multi-programming system, since there were several programs coming, okay, so we figured out that which particular program is waiting for some external input, so we have transferred the processing power from that program to some other program. So that is the concept of multi-programming. We will see in detail what exactly is batch processing and multi-programming. Okay, so coming to this batch processing, so you can see in the diagram itself, there are users, they have created the job. Now the operator task is to combine the similar type of jobs into a batch. And so here the operator has created two batches by collecting the jobs, and then batch is given to the computer. Okay, so one batch is there, whenever computer is free, the other batch has been passed. Okay. So the problem with this type of scenario is, with this type of approach is, first is the lack of interaction between the user and the job. Once the batch is given, now I cannot make my computer stop in performing those batches. I have to wait. Once the batch processing is being done, then only computer will respond back. So there is a lack of interaction between the user and the job. Okay, CPU is often idle because speeds of the mechanical IO device is slower than the CPU. So whenever I have given a batch, so batch is executing, suppose an input has occurred. So whenever there is an input, the input has to be done from some external device. So this transfer from the external device will take larger time as compared to the instructions that we perform internally. So okay, so whenever there is a external transfer, it will take more amount of time, and whenever external transfer is happening, CPU is sitting idle. So that was also a problem with that batch processing thing. And the third problem was a difficulty to provide the desired priority. Okay, in the batch processing, similar type of jobs were there, but suppose a more prior job is there in another batch which is having other high prior thing. Okay, so then it is a win-win situation. But if priority within a batch is different, there are less prior jobs also, more prior jobs also, but they are being compiled in a single batch, then it was a problem with the batch processing. The more priority job will have to wait. Okay, so these were the drawbacks of the batch processing. Coming to the multi-programming is a very important property of operating system. Multi-programming increases CPU utilization by allocating CPU to another program when program uses IO and so on. Okay, so multi-programming, what this term means that it increases the CPU utilization by allocating the CPU to another program when program is IO and so on. Okay, so in batch processing, when IO was there, CPU was idle. So multi-programming, what we did, whenever there is an ideal situation, we take back the CPU from that particular process and give it to some other program so that it keeps on performing. Okay, CPU scheduler is a part of OS responsible for allocating the CPU to program. So there was a scheduler that comes into picture, and what scheduler does, it schedules that when the CPU has to be given to a specific program. Okay, so when the first program has finishes IO, then the CPU will be given back, okay, to that particular program because input output has been completed. Multi-programming increases CPU utilization by ensuring CPU is busy almost all the time. Okay, so multi-programming has increases CPU utilization by ensuring that CPU is busy. Okay, how? Because whenever there is an ideal situation, multi-programming is giving the control of CPU to some other program which needs to execute. So every time now CPU is executing something. So this was the concept of multi-programming. Along with the multi-programming, there was a concept called as spooling that comes into picture. What is spooling? Spooling is simultaneous peripheral operation online and is also evolved with third generation operating system. So this technique has also evolved in the third generation. And spooling is what? Spooling allows multiple programs to do peripheral operations currently. So let's understand with the help of this diagram. In this diagram there is a file to print. Okay, so there will be a print command given, and the configuration file will give that particular file to a printer spooler. Okay, so printer spooler will be having file 1, file 2 and file 3. Okay, so whenever we are giving a print command, the entire thing that we want to print is being given to a memory space called as print spooler. Now print spooler is having in the file 1, file 2, file 3 and so on. Once that command is given, now the thing has to be printed, so CPU has to be taken back from that particular program. So now the CPU will be free because print command has already been given and the spooler is having that particular data. Now printer will interact with the spooler only. It will not interact with the CPU, it will interact with the spooler, and one by one it will keep on printing. So this happens in the real scenario also. Whenever we are giving a print command, and if suppose I have switched off my machine and my printer is on, okay, so what will happen? Since I have given the command, so my printer will keep on printing. So suppose I have given the print command, if I closes my file, then also print is going on. It doesn't ask to open the file and then you have to look the file unless and until your printing is not happening. So this spooler concept has came in the third generation, and it has also allows multiple programs to do the peripheral operations concurrently. Okay, peripherals are what? These are the devices which are attached to the system, like printer, like scanner and so on. So benefits of a spooler was that even in simple system, the spooler may be reading the input of one job while printing the output of the another job. During this time, still another job may be executed, reading its card from the disk and printing its output lines into the disk. Spooling is also used for processing data as remote sites. Okay, so suppose my system is there at one location and my printer is there on the separate location. So what I'll do, I'll send the command and the command will be saved in a spooler area which is being shared by different machines. So printer don't have to be directly attached to my device. Printer will talk with the spooler and I have sent my data to the spooler. So from there the printing is being done. Okay, so this is also a benefit of spooling. Spooling can keep both the CPU and IO devices working at much higher rate. So speed definitely, because see when spooling is not there and I am interacting with the IO, then what will happen? The device, when it will be talking with the CPU, it will be again and again interacting with the CPU to get the second file and third file and so on. So when it will be asking, suppose CPU is busy, CPU will not be able to respond, so your IO device time will be wasted. And if suppose IO is performing something and CPU is ready with the output, so IO will not be able to interact with the CPU, so CPU time will be wasted. That's why spooling has can keep both the CPU and IO devices working at much higher rate. So this is the benefit of spooling. Okay, next thing is time sharing or multitasking systems. Okay, we have talked about multi-programming. This is a different thing called as multitasking. What multitasking is? Multitasking is a logical extension of multi-programming. Okay, in multitasking, the CPU executes multiple tasks concurrently by switching among them. Okay, so in multitasking, what happens? CPU divides the entire time into time slices for the program. Suppose I have 4 programs. The first program will get 1 by 4th part of my time. The second program will get 1 by 4th of the time. Third program will get 1 by 4th, and the fourth will get 1 by 4th. Okay. Similarly, if I have 6 programs, so 1 by 6 will be given to everything. So 1 by 6th of time, CPU time will be given to one program, then CPU will be taken back, then second, then third, and so on. So what will happen by this concept? This will decrease the response time. Okay, how it will decrease the response time? Suppose I have 6 programs and I am just running my first program, and second is waiting for first to come finish. And similarly, sixth is waiting for rest of the 5 programs to get finished. So 6 has to wait for a lot amount of time. But in time sharing system, when I have a time slice divided and is given to 6 different processes, then simultaneously everyone will get the CPU time, and then their turnaround time will be much lesser. Okay, so difference between multi-program and multitasking is multi-programming maximizes processors use and multitasking minimizes response time. So these are the benefits. Time sharing and multitasking is same. If somebody is saying time sharing, that is the person is talking about multitasking only. Okay, so whenever there is a difference that has to be found out, so difference is between multi-programming and multitasking, or multi-programming and uh, ta- time sharing. Okay, so the advantages of time sharing operating systems are as follows. It provides advantage of quick response, it avoids duplication of software, it reduces CPU idle time. Okay, as we have discussed. And the disadvantage of time sharing operating system are the problem of reliability. Okay, what the problem of reliability is that the same processor is serving 6 different programs one by one. Okay, so if my processor fails, every program has to be stopped. Okay, the second problem is programs may interfere with each other. Okay, suppose one program is running in the time slice and it has uh, taken some resource. Now second program is coming and second program is also utilizing that particular resource. So there could be a mismatch that can occur. Okay, so there needs to be a mechanism of ensuring security and integrity of user program and data. So suppose I have a file and I am manipulating in the file, and suppose both of the program is doing some transaction. So in the same file, if I am writing that amount credited 10,000 and my time slice has gone, and I have to do some operations after that particular thing. The second program has changed and it has written amount credited 10,000. Okay, so that is a different thing. So that will create a problem. So we have to deal with that. And the third thing is problem of data communication. Since the data has to be communicated every time whenever there is a switching from one task, from one program to other program, this is also a problem with time sharing. So this ends up with with some of the concepts and some of the questions which are being asked. So if you are able to grasp whatever being taught, so uh, you are supposed to remember few things. First is the definition. This is important and it is being asked in exam. The second thing is you have to remember a little bit about what exactly were changes done in different generations. Then you have to be able to differentiate between batch processing and multi-programming. Then you have to remember the concept of spooling. Then what are the benefits of spooling, and then the most important thing is you should be able to differentiate between multi-programming and multitasking. Okay, so this ends with the lecture. Thank you all.